I want to show you how to prepare your fabric. I found this is very helpful because sometimes when you start to sew, you'll notice the bias stretches. So I do this whenever I start, before I start cutting actually. What I'm going to do is just put my fabric on my ironing board, and I'm going to take some best press or sizing. I don't like starch as much, either best press or sizing are my favorite products. We're going to spray it. So if you take a look, you can see my fabric hanging down. What I'm going to do is spray it, and it's just a light mist. I know sometimes in class I see people spraying it too much. You don't need that much, just a little bit of a mist. Let it soak in, and then we're going to iron it. We've got the fabric ironed, and what we're going to do is, I want to show you how to cut some strips, but whenever you're using a gradated fabric, I wanted to give you a little hint on how to do it. Usually on fabric, what we do is fold it selvage to selvage, like that, and go ahead and cut our strips. But with a gradated fabric, you'll notice you'll be cutting across the values. We don't want to do that. We want to cut apart the values. So whenever you're using a gradated fabric, here's a tip for you. What you're going to do is fold it along the selvage, like this, and cut it that way, just like this. I'm going to flip it over and put the folded edge away from me. And one thing that I've discovered that helps me whenever I'm cutting strips, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put the excess fabric to the right. If you're left-handed, you'll go the other way. What I'm going to do next is make sure that I've got everything lined up. So I've got the fabric lined up here. I want to cut the selvage away, so you can see that I've got it just over the line here. I'm going to use the line on my mat to help me. So I'm going to lay the ruler right on that line and trim that selvage away. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and cut a strip, but I want to show you how to hold your ruler. When I first started using rotary supplies years ago, when they were all brand new, everything I read said put my hand like this so when I cut I can move my hand. Well, the ruler slips when I do that. So what I do instead is I lay the edge of my hand. You can see I've got my little finger and the edge of my hand at the ruler. So now when I cut, my whole hand is holding it so it won't slip. I want to go ahead and cut a 3-inch strip. So I'm going to line up the lines on my ruler. I'm not using the mat now. I'm using the lines of my ruler, making sure that it's all lined up. Position my hand and go ahead and cut. Always put your safety back on, and there we have it. I've got one more thing to show you on gradated fabrics. You'll notice we have a light section, a medium section, and a dark section. Well, if I'm cutting strips and I want to cut some of the medium and some of the dark, how do I do that? Well, I could keep cutting strips until I get into that area, but let me show you a little trick. I'm going to position my ruler right between the medium and the dark. Just making sure everything's lined up. Now, if you'll take a look, I have separated my values, so now I can flip this around and go ahead and cut whatever medium I need and cut from the dark over here. So it's an easy way to separate out your colors. If you take a look here, I have stacked up 6 layers. And I'm right-handed, so I've put all my excess strip to the right because I'm going to be cutting this way. But I think I'm going to find that 6 layers are too many. And let me tell you how you can tell if it is or not. Right there. Do you hear it? And it's hard to cut. I have a sharp blade, but that was just really hard to cut. I managed to get through it, but it was too many. Let me take away one of those strips and just do 4 layers and see the difference. Oh, much better. So that's a little hint for you. If you're cutting and you hear that dragging sound, too many strips. Just pull one away. It'll be easier to cut and it will be much more accurate.